Hello, my name is Austin Johnson, and I have my brother Ryan Johnson with me. And he used to be the punter for Louisville. He graduated in 2014. And today, my chapter is over focus and concentration. And I was inspired by the previous video that was uploaded because what better way to be able to talk about this topic than other than having a punter, because in football, punter is probably the most important position in focusing and concentration, because that position is strictly just you and the ball. Like, it's nothing, anything else in between. So I picked Ryan, and a little about him. He played high school football as well, and he was a quarterback and a punter there. So was I. So we both kind of had the same viewpoints on some of these topics and discussions. So let's get started. So a definition of concentration in sports and exercise settings typically contains 4 parts to it. The first part would be talking about focusing on the relevant cues in the environment. So this is dealing with selective attention, having your focus on one certain thing and gradually going and increasing on it. And then B would be maintaining that attentional focus over time. And then there's a C part, having awareness of the situation and performance errors. And then finally, shifting attentional focus when necessary. And we're going to go through all these and discuss them as I ask him questions. So first, we are going to talk about the first part in concentration, and that is dealing with focusing on relevant cues in the environment. And that's also, like I said before, is dealing with selective attention. So first off, concentration is the ability to maintain focus on relevant environmental cues. And environmental cues change so rapidly, so in our minds, we have to be able to change our focus and put it on a certain step throughout the process of whatever you're trying to focus on. So in dealing with punting, there is many different stages and steps to actually punting a ball. So what I want to ask you was, when you were punting in college, what was your thought process and how did you deal with the different environmental cues and being able to break each one of them down?
That's a great question, because there are different cues in different levels of the game. It can be whether you're backed up where you have to punt out of your own end zone and they're going to be rushing, trying to have a block on you. You could be up in the game by 50 points and it's going to be a very relaxed kick to it. But your main focus is going to be with your mechanics. So as a kicker or punter, you have your mechanics where they're day in and day out the same thing over and over and over again. It's repetition, repetition, repetition. So my main cues are, I watch the game, and once I hit about third down, that's when I get my focus into, okay, we might have to punt. So once that comes in, I'm on the sideline getting my drops in, getting my steps in, making sure that I have the most consistent drop possible for me to have the best ball when it comes down to the live situation. So once I get out onto the field, I see where our yard marker is, and then I set my focus to what we are doing, whether he wants us to kick it left, he wants us to kick it right, or he needs us to kick it down the middle. I set a point up in the stadium, whichever one I'm playing in, and I try to drive my ball through that point. So my eyes are focused on my end delivery of the ball. So once I have set that up, then I get ready to have the live play go. And from catch to kick, it's very, very quick, where you've got to be under 2 seconds. So that's where your repetition comes in. And once the ball is snapped and it's in my hands, I kind of just let my body take over, and there's no focus after that. I've already prepared for that, and that allows me to be the most consistent I can be when it comes to punting.
So that's dealing with like muscle memory and stuff, correct?
Yes.
So pretty much like that's how the whole process is with relative cues. When you get so good at it and you start practicing it, like an example from my chapter was they used the example of dribbling a basketball. When you first pick up a basketball and you learn how to dribble it, you're going to look at it and you're going to look at the ball and watch it go from the ground to your hand and just keep on doing that. But once that becomes repetitive and it becomes something that's just in your mind and you don't have to think about like walking or breathing, then you don't have to have that focus on watching the ball and making sure it comes back up in your hand. It just does it naturally. So then when that rapid change is going through, you don't have to worry about looking at it and have to make sure it come back up in your hand. So to point to where it can just be something that's natural to you. So the next topic we are going to go over in concentration is maintaining attentional focus. And this is a challenge for all of us because we can only focus for so long before our mind starts to wander and starts going every which direction, because it happens to me all the time. But studies have shown that the median for the length of time a person can stay focused on a certain and specific task is 5 seconds. Therefore, on average, a person has around 4,000 distinct, derived and very distinctual thoughts in a 16-hour day. So, my question to you is, the games last around 4 hours, maybe 3. 4 is a little lengthy, but about 3 hours a day or for a game. How are you able to keep your mind in the game and be able to perform well throughout the entire game?
Well, a good thing with me, with a lot of punters and kickers in the country, is that most of them have done that position and only that position through high school and college. I was able to play a different position and understand the game a little bit more. So when it comes to a defensive standpoint of the game, my focus really is not there. It's more of me being relaxed, not being self-focused into it where I'm constantly worrying about what's going on in the game and make sure that my job is being done. Because on a defensive standpoint, I'm not like a quarterback or a running back or offensive lineman. If we get a pick, they got to jump into the game and they have to be ready. I'd have to be ready on a certain down for one play, and it's quick. It's like you said, the attention span is 5 seconds. When it comes to a play of a punt, your average time on that is anywhere between 7 to 12 seconds, depending on if there's a kick return, if there's a block, or if it's just a fair catch. So when it comes to the game of punting, it is a very quick down where all eyes are on you, but you still need to stay focused on the cues of what you are doing, and more towards once we get on offense and it gets to about second down, that's when I start to switch my mindset into getting ready for the kick and letting myself know that, hey, that my opportunity should be here soon and I need to be ready and start staying focused.
That's a good thing about being a punter.
Yep.
So the next thing we're going to discuss with dealing with concentration is talking about situation awareness. And situation awareness is the ability for players to size up game situations and to be able to make appropriate decisions based on the situation that is at hand. And this is mainly occurs under acute pressure and based on time demanding, so you have a short amount of time to make that decision. So Ryan, my question to you is, how did you use situational awareness in your time playing for Louisville in any game situation at all?
Well, I was able to use situational awareness before the game even started. With Coach Petrino, he was a very in-game, in-depth situational kind of coach. So when it came to practice, he always worked on the things that wasn't just put down the ball and let's run a play. He'd always think of it, well, what if it happened here? What if it happened there? So a lot of things that we always would do when it came to punting is he would back us up in our own end zone. Just in case our offense wasn't able to get the ball out and move it down the field, we'd be backed up in our own end zone. And when that comes up, there comes a little bit quicker of a time getting the ball off. You're not having your normal 15 yards to go and kick the ball and their opponents coming in a little bit quicker because they have a shorter distance to get to you. So he really worked on us with that. Also, Petrino was very big onto downing the punt and getting the opponents inside their own 10-yard line, as I just explained how we are trying to get the ball out of our own end zone if we had that situation. So when it came to going down the field, getting on our side of the field and not being able to convert a first down, and we were a little bit out of the end zone range or I'm sorry, a field goal range, we will have to punt the ball, and he wants us to do a little bit different of a punt, and also we need to take some off of it as well, so we're not kicking it in the end zone and allowing them to have it on the 20-yard line and hopefully back them up in their own end zone as well.
It's a great answer to that because, like, again, with the previous question I asked him, it all comes back to repetition and being able to practice these things. And it is good in practice to be able to be in a situation where you have a short amount of time to make that decision. So this really comes into play when it's dealing with those type of situations. And lastly, dealing with concentration, we're going to talk about shifting attentional focus. And this, I feel like, is one of the main things that dealing with concentration that is important. Because shifting attentional focus is the ability to alter your thought process and focus as demanding and switching it as the situation changes. So I know for a fact there was one situation when you played at U of L that you really had to use this. So what was that, and how were you able to shift your focus in that situation?
Well, there's several different ways that I've had to deal with switching my focus around when I'm not expecting. The one that I know that you want me to talk about is in the game against Kentucky my senior year. I lined up for a punt, and it was actually blocked. As soon as it was blocked, the ball was actually rolling around on the ground. No one had picked it up, and my first thought, being a football player that has been in a situation like that in the past, not now since I only go out there and fourth down and kick it, but to pick up the ball and take off and run and try to get the first down. So my focus went from kicking the ball to grabbing it and trying to run where our first down was to get it, because we were on fourth down and we needed that to convert. Also, another situational focus change that you have a lot as a kicker and punter is when you're in that in-between phase of a field goal and a punt. So you don't know what you're going to have yet. So you're allowing yourself to have your mindset both in a punt and a field goal. There's been times where we're on our own 30-yard line and the quarterback has been sacked for 12 yards and coach yells punt instead of field goal. So my mindset sometimes has not been there, but I've got to change it really quick and like, okay, we're going to punt. I need to pin them down inside the 10-yard line. There's been times where we were going to punt and then we switched it to a field goal, and as me being a holder as well, my whole mindset changed to, okay, now I need to get out there and mark off where I need to be on the field so I can get my field goal kicker ready to make this field goal and get us 3 points on there. So being a punter, there's more than just the punt as well. If you're able to do holding also, it allows you to have different mindsets in the game.
In my perspective, the punter is probably one of the hardest positions on the field because it is dealing with a lot of thinking, and everyone says that sports is 80% mental, and I mean punting is really mental because you can go out there and have a really great punt and everyone loves you, and then the next moment you shank one and you can be easily hated. And that's where having this focus comes into play majorly, especially in the collegiate level, because everything is so fast and at a rapid pace that when stuff happens, it's happening so fast, and you have to be able to change your mindset and say, okay, well, I was thinking about this, now I gotta go this really quick. So that's the good thing about having concentration, and this 4-step process explained perfectly on how, in a punter's mindset, how that goes out throughout the game. So a few more couple questions for you before we go. Using self-talk has been talked about a lot in performance of athletes, because having a positive mindset means positive results. If you think negatively, you're probably not going to be successful. So in using self-talk, especially with punting, because as I said before, it is a very difficult position to play, how did you use self-talk to get you through games and get you through the season?
Self-talk really helps in the position that you're in. It's not like your running back or your receiver or your lineman where you can miss a block or you can miss the hole you're running in as a running back, or you can run the wrong route, because you can make up for that. As a punter, you have one shot, you have one kick, so everybody's eyes are on you. More than none, you're going to do well, but every once in a while you will have that bad one, and you just have to shake it off. You've got to be able to be focused and have enough poise in yourself to know that it's not your last shot out there, that you need to prove yourself and prove to your team that you're out there for a reason, and it allows you to have a self-respect for you, knowing that that's not what you can do. You know you can do better, so you kind of giving yourself a little pep talk to yourself, letting you know that, hey, let's get this done.
Very well said. Thank you for watching this video. Ryan, thank you for coming on, and let me ask you a couple questions.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Have a good day.